Okay, so this is part 2, and you're probably wondering why is it a little bit short? Because considering the fact that I had to cover the last 4 games. Well, I decided to cut it short. In this video I'm gonna be covering Sister Location and a little bit, actually no, not a little bit, almost everything of FNAF World. And it's kind of already long, like 18 minutes or so as I'm, just, voice recording this right now. So that's why I'm gonna have part 3, hopefully do like the next day. That's gonna be covering Pizzaria Simulator and then the Ultimate Custom Night and then the conclusion. So that's why I'm gonna cut it into part 2 and part 3. So, but yeah, that should be the end of this, like, little mini series for the discussion. So, yeah, the link will be in the description for part 3 when it comes out. So check back tomorrow or later, depending on when you're reading this, and part 3 will be there. So anyway, enjoy part 2, and let us jump into this. Previously on the discussion.
Freddys, right? Freddy!
Yo.
Well, now we've got 2 Freddys in the room.
Cool.
Bonnie, oh my god, I will slap you!
Whoa, slow your roll. We need to take a look at the madman behind this series before we begin. Scott Cawthon. You're more of them. And eventually he'll kill you. There's also a If you haven't seen part 1, go watch it. Simply you would, right? You better, or I'll come to your house and beat you to death. I'm just kidding. Somewhat. Anyway, last time I gave some background info on the creator Scott Cawthon and the first few games of the series, ranging from FNAF 1 to FNAF 4. We covered a little bit of the mechanics, a little bit of what it is, and a little bit on how it went by fans and audiences alike. So, in today's episode, and finishing off this 2-parter, we're going to be going over FNAF World, Sister Location, Pizzaria Simulator, and Ultimate Custom Night. So without further delay, let us begin.
What the?
Whoa, this is new. FNAF World came out on January 21st, 2016. It is an open-world RPG spin-off, meaning it's basically unofficial to the series. However, though, it still contains a little bit of interesting things we'll be covering in a bit. So it involves all the characters from the previous games, such as like Nightmare animatronics, the Phantoms, Withered animatronics, the originals, the toys, pretty much almost all of them. It also involves some new characters that we haven't even seen at that time anyway, called Funtime Foxy, Arx Q, Urge's Shadow Bonnie, The Crying Child, and etc. Now you have to set to the core of the game. That is your goal. You have to battle bosses, collect characters to make join your team, and then find various secrets too. Also collect things such as bites and chips that can increase stats, attack, block, one-hit moves, and etc. Most of these can be found either by glitching through objects, which I'll explain in a bit, or by just simply wandering around the world and going through little passageways or fighting bosses in order to get them. Mostly the latter. You can also play the game in 4 different ways. You can select the difficulty from normal and hard mode. You can also play it in 2 ways, adventure and fixed party mode. Normal has a normal aesthetic, obviously, until you fight the security owl at the end of the last area. And then you get greeted by some voice in the shadows who mocks you for beating it on normal mode. So basically, he criticizes you for beating the game without much of a challenge on your hands. He then encourages you to complete the game again in hard mode. So isn't that fun? And then we'll get to that right now. In hard mode, you face Scott Cawthon's icon, Anim Dude, after you fight the owl. He is one of the more tougher bosses in this game before Update 2 came out, and I'll also explain that in a bit. Once you defeat him, he criticizes you for killing him and for making what the fans wanted, pushing him towards the edge of making all these spin-off games that frankly have little to no purpose. And then we'll get to the 2 adventure and fixed party mode. Adventure mode is, well, self-explanatory. It basically allows you to select the party, and any animatronics that you fight outside of that can also join your party if you defeat them. And in fixed party mode, it's the same thing. However, in fixed party mode, you basically have access to only the first 2 rows of the roster, meaning you can only choose from limited animatronics. Ain't that nice? But there's a catch. Once you choose your 2 parties, you can't change them. You are stuck with them. That's why it's called fixed party mode. You can't change them after that, and you can't reset them either unless you restart the slot. So you either end up with good characters or bad ones. But I'd recommend choosing good characters. But knowing the first 2 rows of the roster, there's not really that many, apart from some healing ones and insta-kill animatronics. The game also features a variety of endings and little achievements for finding secrets and also, well, obtaining the endings, ranging from beating normal hard mode, glitching through the world in a 4th subtunnel, which is advised that you don't do a lot of the time, drowning in a lake in that same subtunnel, destroying the universe by having 2 Fredbears talk to each other at once, destroying Chipper in a secret part of the mines, and then finding clocks to unveil some past FNAF 4 text that we've already seen before. But again, like I mentioned, unfortunately, it's considered unofficial. So FNAF World doesn't really have much story to it as opposed to the entire thing. So, ain't that neat? Now that I've covered the first, well, actually the whole part of FNAF, now we get to Update 2. Update 2 is where things go a little bit off the record, if you want to call it that. This came out in the same year in 2016, however, it came out in around, I'd say, summer-ish time. So essentially, to start Update 2, you have to talk to some guy at a desk in a house. You have to enter the house first by holding up on the west, I believe, if it's west, or unless you have arrow controls. After talking with them, you then have to get out of the house and then talk to Fredbear, who cuts the happy talk short, telling you to leave the game. He basically tells you that everyone is on edge about something that, although can be reached, even if they were to reach it, it has very hard enemies that can wipe your team out in 1 hit or so. However, after persisting him, eventually he tells you that there is a way by getting codes of characters that you weren't meant to have. This is basically the backstage of the Halloween update, meaning FNAF 4 and most of its animatronics, along with animatronics, or characters actually, that Scott Cawthon has made in previous games. So once he leads you to a portal, you have to play 4 different minigames to save different codes of various animatronics and characters. Some of the characters are very strong, such as Jacko, Bonnie, Purple Guy, Anim Dude, and well, all of them are pretty strong, in my opinion. You have to go through 4 different minigames, and I'm not going to explain them now, as I'll get to them in a later. But after saving the characters, you then have to go take another portal to this maze. You'll fight very glitchy enemies here and also toxic gas that can wipe your team out instantly. Most of the animatronics that you'll get in this team have things like bubble breath, so thankfully they'll stop the toxic from getting to your characters. After that, you get to the end of the maze and then you fight a little glitchy boss. And then the game's over. Just kidding. A rainbow actually comes from one of the mini games that I'll also explain begrudgingly later on. Then you have around 2 minutes or so to defeat it, otherwise you lose and it shoots lasers on your entire team no matter how many gift boxes you have. After defeating the rainbow, you get this scene.
You cheated! Besides, didn't your mommy ever tell you that you can't count a rainbow? The next time you see a rainbow in the sky, that is me coming to your house! Dumbass.
The show will begin momentarily. Everyone, please stay in your seats.
And that is the end of Update 2, because it has to be continued, but we never got Update 3 because Scott canceled it, so ain't that fun, 3 years later. This also referenced another new thread to what is to come, and we will get to that. Fun fact, each minigame in Update 2 actually has references to certain video games. The 4 minigames listed are Foxy.exe, Star Fox 64, Star Foxy actually, Chica's Magic Rainbow, and FNAF 57, Freddy in Space. Well, the obvious references are, obvious in a sense, such as Star Foxy being a reference to Star Fox, or, Star Fox 64. Chica's Magic Rainbow could be a reference to, kids' games, those classic platformers that you'd see in games like, Mario, but except it's more of a rage game. Because pretty much you have to avoid dying too many times, otherwise the rainbow will send you back out of the game. And then Foxy.exe is well self-explanatory. It's a parody of an EXE game. Not really scary to some, unless, they generally are scared of FNAF. It kind of does fit in with the theme of the spin-off titles, that I mentioned earlier. So it's pretty cool to see Scott, have these ideas. Not to mention FNAF 57, which a lot of people seem to like.
Welcome to your office, settle down and take a seat. Please pay no attention to the terrifying scream.
FNAF sister location. This is gonna be a lot. Released on the 7th of October 2016. It was the big, new, and very shiny improvement to this game and the franchise as a whole. You began with a cutscene of a worker and somebody who we can only speculate that is Purple Guy, or also named Mr. Afton, talking about the designs of a robot that we get close-ups on during that cutscene. And then we begin the game. Now, FNAF Sister Location is much different and is also a little more step above FNAF 4, and, besides the survival aspect, you basically survive, but the only difference is that you have more objectives. It's not just surviving, you have to do various things every night that range from either very easy or very painstakingly difficult. So let's begin with all tasks. Your first night takes you with an objective. The simple thing is just to explore and get on your first day at work. You get to see how the animatronics look, well, not really, more or less in the shadows, and then you shock them. Yay, electromagnetic therapy, I love that, or whatever it's called. Then after that, you go into an event, and then you do the same thing to a character named Baby. You don't get to see them, however, no matter how many times you shock and chuck the light on them. So eventually you hear some clinking and rattling as you're going back through the vent. However, though, I don't think we have to worry about that. The other guy who comes in later on can deal with that. On your second night, you basically have to do the same thing. Check on the animatronics and then electroshock them. However, though, spooky things start happening. And by spooky things, I mean very spooky things. Night 2 is a taste of what's to come in this game. And trust me, right? It enforces that point only. Now, the firstly is when you're checking on Circus Baby, the power goes out. You have to hide under a desk, guided by Circus Baby. You have to basically close a little metal grate behind the desk and avoid getting caught by the Bitty Bobs. They will basically constantly try to pull back your grater. However, you have to click and hold the grater in order to make sure that, you don't die. It's simple as that. After the little mini game, I guess, or just surviving, Circus Baby tells you that although the guy on the phone will tell you to basically run through as fast as you can, Ballora will not return to the stage. Ballora is basically this kind of dancer character. You have to do a sneak mission, and this is the second phase of the day, or the night. You basically have to listen for audio cues as to when she's near. If you hear the music close, you stop. If you hear the music far away or don't hear it at all, continue walking. At one point, you can literally see Ballora just like inches away from your face, twirling past by. Once you get to the other side of the room, you get to a door, and this is the power room, or whatever it was called, I can't remember. You have to repair the power in the building by basically clicking and holding each one. If you don't, it'll basically drop power again. You have to make all the areas stable. Sounds easy, right? Nope, wrong again. This is FNAF, there's always a catch. You see, Funtime Freddy lurks in the shadows, and you have some kind of device that allows the Bon puppet to basically play a voice line to distract him and lead him away from you. If you get too close, play that sound. Otherwise, you'll be dead. After that, you head back through that room into Blower's gallery, and you don't have to really worry about it. However, though, there's an optional cutscene that happens when she tells you there's someone in the room. If you choose to do nothing after a little bit of time, she'll think maybe it's a rat. However, though, if you keep, sneaking by, she'll say that she hears you. After that, you head on to your third night, after, you stop by at home, of course. Your third night is the same thing. Just, shocking and then seeing the animatronics getting aggravated more and more. And then you can either go to the Circus Baby gallery or you can go to the Funtime Foxy section. Going to Circus Baby's area doesn't really do much apart from giving you secret dialogue, but it doesn't really go anywhere. The number sequence doesn't really have much to do with this, considering the fact that we never got any explanation as to what this exactly means. So, once you get into the Funtime Foxy room, and it's all dark. What the hell? You have to flash a light beacon and listen for Funtime Foxy while you traverse the dark room. Flashing the light will basically shock Funtime Foxy not permanently, momentarily, so that way you can move. However, though, if she is very close to you, or if you hear her nearby, then you'll be dead. This is one of the more harder sections in the game, considering the fact that it's a stealth, and not only that, but you don't see where you're going. And Funtime Foxy randomly generates her location at random. And even if you do, if you stand still and flash your beacon multiple times, you will die. So this is one of the more harder sections of the game, if not the entire franchise. But trust me, that isn't as bad as to what is next to come. Once you get to the other side, you had to basically maintain and fix Funtime Freddy. One of the parts you had to do is, during all these fake-out scares, you have to lead a bonbon puppet out from behind Funtime Freddy in order to press the button. Failure to do so will result in the bonbon puppet killing you. Oh, that thing is so cute. After that, you head through the room again, and then, oh, you're dead. Huh. Wait a minute. Oh no. Yep, Night 4 starts you off with in a suit, a spring-lock suit, as Circus Baby tells you. You have to slowly watch Ballora get scooped out, pretty much her being destroyed and turned into nightmare fuel. After that, Circus Baby releases the spring lock from your suit. Now you have to make sure that you stay alive until the workers find you. For around a total of, I don't know how many minutes, more than at least 2 minutes, at least I think so. You basically have to try to make sure that the spring locks don't tighten up and, well, kill you, just like, that purple guy did in the third FNAF game. However, though, not only that, but you had to shake off little babies that come from Ballora. Failure to do so will result in death. Obviously, you already get the routine at this point. After you're freed, you are taken to Night 5. You basically get exotic butters as your, little reward, I guess, for the week. And then you get to go home. But before you do that, you have to check on the, okay, well, maybe we, well, after that, you had to go to the maintenance room to fix Circus Baby. Once you get there, she instructs you to do some things and cuts off the voice on the line. She tells you to trust her and to send her to the scooping room, or somewhere to be safe, I guess. And after that, you take her card that puts you in, like, your phone or something like that? I don't remember. And then you have to basically walk out. She tells you to basically follow her commands. Failure to do so will be jump scared by Ballora, as she has climbed out of her suit and her endoskeleton is wandering around. After doing directions, you head into a room. This is the scooping room, where you encounter the true form of Circus Baby in the gang. All of them have been scooped already. Eventually, they scoop you out, and then you die, and then you get used as a host body in the following cutscene. On December 1st, there was a DLC for a custom night, consisting of most of those animatronics besides Circus Baby, and, consisting of her Bitty Bobs and Electro Bobs. Not only that, right, but they also had, quote, impossible modes, considering the fact you had to deal with 3 things: usage, power, and oxygen. Failure to have enough oxygen will die. Failure of power will also leave you vulnerable. Once you complete each mode on Very Hard, you basically get a cutscene showing the aftermath of what happened in Ultimate Custom Night. Getting Golden Freddy mode done, you basically get a cutscene that shows the aftermath of FNAF 3. Fun fact, when you die sometimes, you will get a minigame where you have to play as Circus Baby. You have to give cupcakes to all the children under a time limit. You have to basically utilize and do some parkour skills around most of these cupcakes before you can waste them all. You have a shotgun, a passive, and then a regular cupcake. Once you do, you have to get to the finish line, and then there will be an ice cream waiting for you on a pedestal. Once you grab it, you have to take it all the way back to the start. However, though, the music cuts and slowly goes. The time limit still goes. You have to basically get to the start and then put down the ice cream. And then slowly a little girl will approach. And, well, that happens. Once that happens, go to Night 5 again, and before you follow her directions during the stealth section, Go right at the beginning and you'll enter a little secret area that says access, something like that. Oh, I smell some nostalgia.